Thank you, Mr Speaker, and can I thank the Prime Minister for advance sight of his statement. Mr Speaker, I want to be very clear with the Prime Minister from the outset. These proposals are unacceptable, they are unworkable, they are undeliverable. It is all about blaming someone else, in this case the European Union, when his plan is rejected. Mr Speaker, it is a plan designed to fail. But of course, the Prime Minister knows that. By his own design, this take-it-or-leave-it threat is yet another push towards a catastrophic no-deal exit. Mr Speaker, for Scotland, these proposals would take us out of the European Union, the single market and the customs union against our will.
That's the deal.
The UK Government's document talks about the consent of the people of Northern Ireland as being required. Where is the requirement for the consent of the Scottish people who voted to remain, whose voices are ignored by this Conservative government? The Prime Minister may have bought the consent of the DUP with these proposals, but every other political party in Northern Ireland and every other major business group are not buying it. And, Mr Speaker, they're not alone. The Prime Minister doesn't have the consent of this House. He doesn't have the consent of these islands for this doom deal or for a devastating no-deal Brexit. Let me tell him now, he will never have the consent of Scotland. Prime Minister, why is it acceptable for Northern Ireland to stay in the single market of the European Union, but not for Scotland? This is not a basis of a deal. It is a half-baked plan from Dominic Cummings and his Brexit fanatics. The Prime Minister knows that he can't get his proposal approved, and he doesn't care. Because the truth is, the Prime Minister either has no interest in getting a deal or doesn't grasp the reality of a workable backstop. Mr Speaker, the Prime Minister must be reminded that he is duty-bound to obey the law and seek an extension to the 31st October deadline. So, let me put this to the Prime Minister. The proposed deal is dead even before it left the podium of the Tory conference. The Prime Minister's contempt for this House, because that's what it is, for democracy, for the people to have their say through their representatives, is clear for us all to see. This House must take back control, not for us, but for the people that we serve. So I want to ask the Prime Minister, and Mr Speaker, if I may, I want the Prime Minister to think very carefully before he answers. And I say to him, give us an actual answer. Will the Prime Minister obey the law as required to seek an extension? And if not, will he commit today, right here, right now, that he will resign? Mr Speaker, we will not let the Prime Minister shift the blame. You know, Mr Speaker, it is quite remarkable, because we're talking about a Prime Minister threatening to break the law, and the guffaws from the Tory benches really says it all. Mr Speaker, we will not let the Prime Minister shift the blame for his devastating plans for a no-deal Brexit. The responsibility for the catastrophic threat lies solely and squarely at the Prime Minister's door. That's why I want to put the Prime Minister on notice. The SNP will do everything possible to secure an extension and to stop a no-deal Brexit. So I say to the Prime Minister, be warned, secure an extension or resign. If not, the SNP stand ready to bring this government down.
Well, Mr Speaker, I would just briefly, again, I must say I'm slightly disappointed by the tone the honourable gentleman has taken. I would remind him that the people of Scotland voted to remain in the UK and in the UK single market. The best way, if he wishes to avoid a no-deal outcome, and I respectfully suggest to him the best way to avoid that would be to vote for a deal that we secure. And I think that these proposals do amount to a very good basis for a deal. And thirdly and finally, Mr. Speaker, if he wants to remove me from office, then the best thing he can do is to work on the right honourable gentleman opposite and persuade him to call a general election and try his luck that way.